Boom. We are here. We are here. We are here. If you're listening, rate, share, subscribe. If you're listening, you could also watch on BigMood TV. You can watch clips on Eric_BigMoodCoach. See Instagram. BigMoodCoach.com is the website. You can see all the coaching, everything we're doing. We have merch coming up in the next couple weeks, so I'm excited. We're going to start with some deep belly breaths. We have a guest here. We'll start with some deep belly breaths. You ready? Close your eyes. Two more. Last one. So today we have Will Kelly. Thank you for sharing this space with me. I'm going to let you introduce yourself and all your credentials because you do cool shit.
All right, thank you. My name is Will Kelly, and I am a licensed clinical social worker here in San Diego. I am been doing counseling for about 10 years, and I am located in Mission Valley. I'm excited because I've just changed my practice to counseling men only, and to integrate some of the men's work that I have gotten for my own personal growth, and now I can incorporate it into my practice. So
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's talk about the men's work.
yeah.
Let's go into what you mean by men's work.
Well, men's work started with my own personal journey earlier this year on my birthday. I decided that there's something that is not vibing well in my life and my spirit within me. And I saw out a group called Sacred Sons.
Blessings.
Yes, and they had an embodied masculine experience here in San Diego, or near San Diego. And it just was like it's like I walked into this portal and then I came out on a different side. So I have been like rocking with them ever since. And so I took their leadership training to just learn how they do things, and just so I can continue to cultivate my growth and my brotherhood with them. And I have now transformed that into my practice. And the men's work is really promoting healthy, and I would say authentic masculinity.
Ooh, let's get right into that. What is healthy, authentic masculinity to you?
Well, for me, it's and for what I've learned and been reading and what I've been feeling is just, love and loving ourselves, and connecting healthily with other men in a compassionate, accountable, and confident way.
Beautiful. I think one thing I've always done, I've connected with women most of my life, but I've always had a select few male friends, especially as I get older, where I can be raw.
Yeah.
Where I can be raw, especially I'm a recovering 12-step guy. And what it taught me was to honor and respect male leadership, and honor and respect male safety and vulnerability. So for me, being vulnerable with men taught me how to be vulnerable with myself, as opposed to what we would think is intimacy with women would be like the key, right? We would think so. But being intimate with men has taught me to be intimate with women, right? But like being intimate with men and like telling men I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Like I am struggling right now, or I don't know what to do right now, especially as a father. I know you're a new father, right?
Yeah, and about to be a daddy again.
About to be daddy again. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But being a father, and my father, since my father wasn't around, he just worked a lot.
Yeah.
And my brother went away to college when I was 13. So my formative years, I did street life. I did street life, and like that, the very toxic form of masculinity, which is misogyny, violence, ego, all those things.
Yeah.
So in my 20s, I've gotten to learn what my form of healthy masculinity is. So I want you to go deeper into healthy masculinity. Go expound on that in your personal experience. And you know what? We've talked about it on here, but we haven't had it from a perspective like yours, a professional perspective. Yeah. What is toxic masculinity to you?
Well, because I don't like to use cliches, but sometimes I like to say unhealthy masculinity, but we can still use toxic. It's when... What I've learned is that brotherhood and like how you measure like how much another man means to you is how many secrets you can keep, like from the women in your life or from people like, oh yeah, he's cheating on his girlfriend, so we just got to keep that between us guys, and that's like our bond. He knows all my dirt and stuff, and then. But what we're doing is we're like perpetuating that non-integrity. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we're perpetuating that kind of insidious form of connection, or immature, I would say. Yeah. And so, and like you, like I had, my father was, he was from West Philadelphia, not Will Smith, but he was in West Philly, and he just, a lot of the stuff that he taught me was a lot of like how to not necessarily respect women in a sense, you know what I mean? But he was saying it in such a very like, not nonchalant, but like a very matter of fact way. Like he didn't even know, because his father wasn't around. So he was giving me all this information, and then I found myself when I got in my relationship, that some of this stuff coming out. And I just think that also what I've been learning is that when you say how deep it goes, there's a book called, and I'm going to misquote this. I know it's The King, Warrior, Magician, and Lover. I have it at home, so I have to give you the author later, but it beautifully stated that, we're in this boy psychology and not man psychology, meaning that we're the good old boy club, or like we are misogynistic, or we demean the feminine energy, and we, anything that is vulnerable is like weak, and that's just kind of what we've been fed for most of our lives. And it's kind of hard to break until more so recently with groups like Sacred Sons and other organizations that's really trying to shift.
Talk about your experience with Sacred Sons. Share what you can.
Oh yeah, I'll share what I can. I mean, because that I won't. I'll share my experience.
Share your experience.
Yeah, it was just. Let's just say I've been singing all my life, but I found my voice there.
Wow.
Because I was witnessed, and that's the most important thing here. I didn't realize the power of being witnessed by other men. And I would just suggest people to go look up Sacred Sons for themselves.
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yes, because it's something that, like someone has to experience. I can't explain it really. All I can just say is what I said. It's like, I came in there, I thought I came there for something, and it was something completely different that showed up. And like I said, my voice was unlocked in so many different ways.
Beautiful.
Not just musically.
The power of being heard.
Yeah.
Power of being heard.
Witnessed, held accountable, which I think is really important.
Accountability is huge for everybody.
Yes.
It's huge for everybody. So I don't want to be singular or binary. But the accountability of men keeping a man accountable to integrity.
Yeah. I mean,
to integrity. I had a friend living in my house who was living out of integrity, and I told him, I said, we live like gentlemen in this house.
Yeah.
This is a gentleman's household. We don't disrespect women.
Yeah.
We're single, but we don't disrespect women. We don't cuss women out.
Yeah.
We don't call women names. We just don't do that here.
Yeah.
And I always say this, the podcast I did yesterday, we rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
And I think that's healthy masculinity, which I've only learned in my short couple years in my 30s. Is just we rise to the occasion as men.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more than just providing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, for me, my maturation into my masculinity, and I really feel like I'm in my divine masculine these days, is my ability to hold space. Ability to hold space for both men and women, and to be a safe man. To be a safe man. I spent so many years not being a safe man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So let's talk more about your practice.
Yeah.
And what your practice entails.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm primarily a clinical, like a therapist. And so I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I've been doing this since 2009. And most of my career was in the military as an active duty social worker.
Which is a very unique experience.
Yeah, it was really great.
With that type of man.
Yeah, and so I wish I understood about healthy masculinity and all this stuff then. It would have probably taken it to another level. But so I have been most of my career has been within the military, working a lot of trauma, depression, anxiety, and even when I got out of the military in 2015, I started working at Naval Medical Center in Balboa, still doing the same thing. And then I got out. I left Balboa last year, and just to do private practice, so that way I can really do what I wanted to do on my terms.
And what is it that you want to do?
And it's like give the clients the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can really be intimate with them and like really like go there with them. And so a lot of what I do is there's a therapy called acceptance and commitment therapy.
Oh,
it's like my
break it down.
So it's a mindfulness based therapy that I should know the names of all these people, but I will defer you out. But it's a mindfulness based therapy that is centered around accepting life's inevitable pain and challenges, and living a purposeful and meaningful life.
Yeah.
So it's not just it's a little different than like the cognitive behavioral approach where something happens, you have a thought about it,
and then you
have a feeling,
and
then you have a behavior or a consequence of that.
Yeah.
And so the idea behind that is you change B, A, B, C, D, thought, then you can change how you feel. You can change your behaviors. With ACT, what happens when that thought keeps coming back? And so ACT kind of takes away the struggle. ACT is all about
break down ACT again. In
acceptance and commitment therapy.
Okay, just break that down one more time for the listeners.
So acceptance, just break the whole thing down.
No. Just the name.
So just the name. So it's acceptance and commitment therapy.
Okay, so you can keep going. I just want the listener
no problem
to know what you were referring to when you say ACT.
No problem. And it focuses on just the B. Yeah. And like, how do we accept all the things that comes in there and come from a place of observance versus trying to like change the thoughts.
Yeah.
Like thoughts are just merely that. They're thoughts. Until we intervene with those thoughts and give some energy to that.
Yeah.
And so through mindfulness and some other ways, we focus on how to live with these thoughts and experience life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of us are just trying to get away from
escapism.
Just to get away. And our bodies are kind of set up that way.
Yeah.
It's it's always trying to protect us from something.
Absolutely.
It's always trying to protect us from like being hurt usually. And because, we're not in hunter-gatherer anymore, like it was a legit system, like, system to have to like run away from like lions and stuff like that. So, but now we're in a society where, we don't have to do that. Most of us don't have to do that anymore. There's some places in the world.
Yeah.
And so now what we're running from is our thoughts.
Yeah.
And you can't escape them.
Yeah.
Because they're there.
They're there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unfortunately, some people have tried to escape, and some people have been unfortunately successful in that, in various ways. And ACT, it just, it just teaches you how to be with all of it.
The power of being.
Yeah.
The power of being.
Yeah.
Let's just let that bitch breathe right there.
Yeah.
The power of being. The power of just being, That's something on my spiritual path, because I was one of those people driven by my thoughts. My brain was my worst enemy. I'm a bipolar disorder survivor, recoverer, and my brain was trying to kill me. And I did a lot of work, and it still does. It still comes up. But I've done a lot of work on being.
Yeah.
Just being, and like in this moment right now, I have no other thoughts but being here with you.
Yeah.
And it took years of practice and discipline to get to that space where I could just be here now, as Ram Dass would say.
Yeah.
So it's how valuable that can be for both men and women to just understand, like a person said to me, the power of just breathing with someone.
Yeah.
The power of just breathing, or just eye gazing.
Yeah.
Or just being in that current moment. It's probably, I would venture to say, one of the most valuable, probably the most valuable tool in our tool belt is the ability to just be with ourselves.
Yeah.
And be with our thoughts.
Yeah.
And even if
all of them.
Not
just, and that's the thing. It's like, it's not just the good ones.
Exactly.
It's because thoughts are just thoughts until we give it a description of what it is.
Yeah.
And then we give it power, and that's what we focus on.
Yeah.
Treatment with me.
I tell people that all the time, like, just we place judgment.
Exactly.
We place a judgment on
it.
sadness. We place a judgment on disappointment. And very often as a coach, because I'm a coach, interventionist, and I'm an author, I'm in the personal development space, but the power of non-judgment, that comes from DBT, right? Like it's a DBT trigger word.
They're all T's and CBD ACT and all that.
Yeah, they're
all kind of connected.
It's
somehow.
a trigger word, but,
but
the power of non-judgment.
Yeah.
The power of feeling, acknowledgement. Okay, cool. I feel this way. Now let's be in that thought, and let's not add any power to it.
Yeah.
Let's just allow that thought to be a thought.
Yeah.
There's power in that. And that's something, going back to masculinity, we're culturally, especially Black men, culturally we have conditioned ourselves through oppression and through years of generational trauma to, when we have thought, to go to our trauma response, whether that be hypersexuality, masturbation, or violence, or some sort of aggression, or video games, and some sort of outlet of like, I feel now response is.
Yeah.
And that's why like when I heard you were doing men's work, I was like, fuck, I gotta get this guy on here.
And I just want to clarify too, like, I'm primarily therapy, and I'm taking from things that I have learned and I'm infusing, you know what I mean? Because I gotta give credit to people that's literally like the Sacred Sons or other organizations that's literally what they do.
Yeah.
And so I am I want to be a vessel, if you will, for an organization like that, or for men's work, and so I added that to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And, but I want to make sure that it's clear that, I haven't been in the charge of men's work for so long, but in a way I have, but just in a different format through the form of therapy. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to discredit myself. Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure that, because I just owe so much of where I am to them.
I think I don't want to judge the idea of like who's leading men's work. Like I've been doing in my own singular experience, have been an example of the men's work.
Yeah.
So I hear you. And I, a lot of the speaking that I'm doing, even though I'm not speaking to men directly, I'm a product of men's work.
Yeah.
And just like you're a product of like Sacred Sons, and combination of your own work
and in my life
and your life, you are leading the way. And hopefully by having you on this podcast will lead you to an even deeper and further place, because the value of men's work, because being a safe man, because women are in danger. Women are in danger. The family structure is in danger. I think a huge root cause of the breakdown in society is the absence of healthy masculine. So and this is a topic I'd love to talk about. I'd love to speak about the fluctuation between healthy masculine and divine feminine. Where do you stand on that? Like, what do you speak to men about tapping into divine feminine and being able to shift? Because the reason I bring that up is because for me, one thing I've learned about my masculinity is I'm at my healthiest when I'm able to be a strong man and provider and like all the archetypes of a man, but also when I'm able to fall back into or drop into feminine. Drop into feminine, drop into more submissive, drop into more understanding, heart-based, heart-centered, as opposed to the doing. So do you discuss that kind of fluctuation?
I mean, a lot of things I do is like, I don't know if you heard the book, The Way of the Superior Man. Or
of course.
There you go. So that's where I'm like, that's like the guidebook for me. And once I learned just feminist movement, masculine is consciousness and almost stillness in a sense. And I've actually just told the clients to get the book, really. So I don't have to, then I want them to read it for themselves.
It's a short. It's
like a really quick read.
Short, quick read.
And it's something you can reference over and over again. And so it's just once you learn that is flow and that there's beauty in that, and there's destruction in that movement too, and that your mind is feminine because it changes. And once that locks in, and you practice that, and then I'll bring some of the acceptance and commitment therapy. I'll bring some of that into it, you know what I mean? So like depending on what my client and where they are, like I kind of have to dance with that too, because I mean, even the therapeutic relationship is feminine.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like relationships, or anything that's moving is that, and everything else that just is what it is like masculine, that God space, or that, so at least from what I feel it is, and from what I've read, it's just that intimate space that just is that core worth that is unchanged. Love, someone's I've heard a lot of clients say to me about like, I just want unconditional love, and I was like, well, I personally don't believe that love, there is a thing as unconditional love, because I believe love is unconditional. It just is, right? If for Bible readers and things, they say God is love. So if God is, and God is all, and not ever changing, all that stuff, and God is love, then love is love doesn't taint us, and we might taint love. That's how I feel.
Ooh, that's so good.
And so that's how I look at masculine, And so I think that, whenever you whenever they're dealing with, I'll like throw that in there and like, okay. And they're like, well, I just don't understand why this happened, or I don't understand why they're not listening to me, or I don't understand why one minute she says this and the next minute she says that. And I'm like, okay, that's movement. And so then how do you show up in your masculine present? You know, it's all about just showing her love. Absolutely. And so I practice that every day with my wife. I don't always succeed with that, but it's on my mind.
Yeah.
You know,
for me, where I find my divine masculine is in my grounding nature.
Yeah.
Is because I'm an eccentric, you know. I'm just like, that's something that I have to come to acceptance with. I come to acceptance with all the time, is that I'm just a wild guy. I'm just a wild guy, and I'm an individual. My mom was listening to, because both my brother and I are public speakers, and my brother is so calculated and almost clinical with his public speaking, and mine is so abstract. Mine's so abstract and emotional based. But one thing that I think both he and I have, and that I find that is in the masculine that I want to embody, the stoicism and the grounded, rational nature of like, okay, like I'm eccentric, right? I'm all over the place. I'm excited, but then to center down, drop into my root, and just be, just to be that grounded nature. I feel like that's almost masculine superpower. Yeah. To be able to drop into that. And I think that's something that we're creating a space in the next year where we'll be holding a number of men's circles.
Great.
And I would love to have you facilitate and teach.
Sure.
I would love to have you lecture as we get closer to that time. But I want to encourage and I want to drive home that grounded, rooted nature of masculinity. Of like, I always say, it's not the world that is the problem. No. It's not the pandemic. It's not Joe Biden. It's not Donald Trump. It is our ability to root ourselves in consciousness and root ourselves in the earth and the place and now and the essence of the earth at this moment. Yeah. And when we're able to do that, and this is new for me. This is not new. I'm a heady guy, right? Like I'm in the clouds, but this divine masculinity that I've been recently able to embody has been rooted in my grounded nature, and I think that's a prominent component of healthy masculinity.
Yeah, and I just think that's what it exemplifies is just movement, and then like oftentimes, especially in the book, it talks about like just the movement,
the fluidity
of the feminine energy, and then when I move and I think about it. It just seems so like, you know, like free, and I think, and that's kind of what I'm speculating or what I'm feeling is that's my masculine presence dancing with it, and that's what I think David Data mentions a lot in the book, or he has like an audible teaching thing about it, and I'll listen to that, and he said it's like this dance.
That's what Ram Dass calls Lila Rasa, the divine dance.
Yeah, and it's just
life, the play.
Yeah,
the play.
Yeah, and oftentimes in my practice, it's that, like I say, it's no major therapy. Just take a walk and go sit down by a tree or something. Like there's a lot of therapeutic, like Mother Earth itself is that. You know what I mean? And so sometimes I have some of my sessions are not always in the office. Sometimes we're going to Mission Trails. Sometimes we're going to Torrey Pines, and we'll do some grounding there. And, you know,
it's beautiful.
I mean, it doesn't have to always be I'm sitting on the couch and taking notes and stuff.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you. And I'm gonna get you out of here because you have a men's circle to go to.
Yeah.
And we'll finish with this. What's your greatest doing this work? What's your greatest takeaway from these men? Because you're serving, you're doing servant leadership, right? But what's your greatest takeaway from doing this work?
Just from my experience. Just being able to see these unhealed boys within go, be welcomed by the men that are carrying them. If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Because when I see people, especially in session, but when I see people, I see how they react to certain things. I'm also looking at their inner child.
Yeah,
it's hard for me not to, especially if I'm looking into your eyes now, just as I said that, it's not some magic power or nothing like that. I just I can see a figure of a child, you know what I mean? And I feel like what happens is they get activated and then we're like their avatar when they get triggered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we start doing things that's like, was that an adult or was that me in integrity?
Yeah.
And so when I see men connect with their little boys, it's like my favorite.
Yeah.
And that is what really that's what I get a lot of. I feel like my little boy gets healed over and over again.
Beautiful.
Just as much as sometimes it gets triggered,
Yeah.
I'm very empathic when it comes to that. So
that's
my favorite part.
That's one of my learnings in doing my own work is, like, for example, I've shared on here that I have some sexual abuse, and then I have racial abuse of like a child. And so much of that childhood trauma, those stories, because that's what they are. They've become stories. Those stories reflect so much in my adult day-to-day interfaces, and I've said this on the podcast, like that little boy just still wants to be liked.
Yeah.
My little boy still wants to be liked, still wants to be popular, still wants to be accepted. That eccentricity that I talk about. Sometimes I find myself ashamed of it.
Yeah.
Because I just want to be like normal.
Yeah.
I just want to be like you. I just want to be well put together.
Okay, I'll take that. I don't know if I'm all well put together, but I think that's the point too. Is just like, how do we, when we ground, we take care of him.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think that we're gonna. A part of some of what we can do in our masculine nature sometimes, I feel, is to try to have an end to everything.
Yeah.
We're trying to have an end to it. And like you said, for mine is feminine, just going to be no end to it. It's going to be forever flowing. So it's forever embracing.
Yeah.
Not trying to end it and just say, I just want to not feel this way and be done with it.
Yeah.
So it's just that reinforcement, I think, grounding and connecting with. You just always imagine yourself sitting on a rock and a little boy, your little child coming up to you, and just sit with them.
Yeah.
Your imagination can save you sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in Buddhism, they talk about it. We never arrive.
Yeah.
We never arrive. There's no finish line.
Yeah.
And even in death, it's almost not a finish line. If you continue into divinity.
Yeah.
There's never, as a psychologist, someone in psychology, you understand neuroplasticity continues until the day you die. Mm-hmm. You are able to reform neural pathways until the day of your death. Mm-hmm. So there's no end point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is the marathon continues, as Nipsey would say. It's just always going. So we're gonna let you get out of here. And how that was a great conversation.
Yeah,
that's a great podcast.
Yeah,
laser to the point, 30 minutes, beautiful, filled with content. So thank you. I want you to plug your Instagram, plug your website, plug everything. People will be able to see it, but plug everything.
Yeah. So on Instagram, you can find me at Will Kelly Counseling. And also willkellycounseling.com. That's where I have my my website with all my counsels and what type of therapy I do. I also, on my website, I do have 2 men's counsel now. I have the Men's Council. That's what it's called. I'm working on a different name for it, but right now it's the Men's Council, which is actually tonight on Zoom.
Invite people. Can you just invite people to that?
Well, if you go there, click on it, click on the councils, you can pick which one, and then you will go sign up. There's a button to sign up. So anybody can sign up. It's not a therapy group. but it may feel that way.
Yeah.
But it's not therapy group, so anybody can come to it.
Beautiful.
Any male can come to it. And then I have the Haven, which is for Black men, a space for Black men, which is the same setup. And you can also go to my website.
Before we finish, speak about the Haven. Speak about how important that is, because in the space that I'm creating, I'm talking about. I want to have a Black men circle and a Black men safe space.
Yes.
And I already know what night. It's going to be Monday nights. We're going to start the week off with Black men getting together and men of color. So it won't just be Black men, but any POC, any BIPOC. And we'll have all the sexual orientations. But talk about the Haven.
Yeah, so I specifically have the Haven for Black men, and I kind of went back and forth about the BIPOC. But for this one in particular, it's just a space where, you know, it's the same concept as the men's circle: accountability, cultivating brotherhood. It's just a place where Black men can come and do that without having that extra anxiety of like, do they have to like cover up how they're actually feeling? You know what I mean?
Or pacify ourselves.
Or pacify or anything, you know? And I just think it's time that we have a space for that. And, you know, I've been wanting to, you know, I'm so glad most of my practice is Black.
Beautiful.
You know, which I'm like so excited about. That means that, and I'm not hunting for these men. That's probably not bad. Especially what's been going on. So I'm not like, you know, soliciting or anything. They have been like reaching out to me, you know what I mean, for help. And I'm just so proud of my brothers for like showing up.
It's a new age, man.
Yeah. Like Black men we're not doing this anymore.
We're leading, you know,
we're not playing around.
You and I will speak this into my existence, and I will contribute, you know, I will take ownership of this. Mm-hmm. We are leading the work in the mental health space. Yeah. You know, for me as a mental health advocate, telling the truth. Yeah. Telling the truth about Black mental health. Yeah. Is a real experience, and it doesn't have to be a diagnosable, you know, disorder. Yeah. It could be micro traumas. It could be.
It's a lot of things.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
things.
A lot of things. But we're leading the way. Yeah. And we get to. Yeah. And it's almost a divine opportunity we have.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for it. You know, I did used to discredit myself, but no time recently. But, you know, and now I'm just so grateful and honored.
I'm grateful for you.
Yeah.
All right, my man. We'll wrap
Thank
it up.
you, brother.
All right. If you listened all the way through, watch the podcast, share it. BigMood TV. We love to connect with you. Obviously, this podcast, we're just shooting heart laser beams at you. That's all we're doing. So we'll wrap it up. Peace.